For everything there is a season, a time to plant and a time to sow. Black farmers know of seasons. They plowed the earth under burning sun and weathered stormy nights. They faced disasters, both natural and man-made. Yet it was discrimination by their own government that dealt a death blow to many black farms. And finally, after years of prolonged litigation and dozens of attorneys, they may soon reap a bountiful harvest. It will be the largest settlement in civil rights history, $1.25 billion. However, the plaintiffs in Pigford versus Glickman, the case, have been disappointed before. As the deadline to claim the money approaches, this great achievement in civil rights remains overshadowed by bickering and fear of further disappointment. The black farmer has been embattled for 150 years. Following their bravery in the Civil War, General Sherman promised 40 acres of land and a mule to plow it. That promise was lost with the death of President Lincoln. Despite schemes to defraud them and unfair laws which beset their every endeavor, black farmers persevered. So did racism. On September 30th, 1919, in Elaine, Arkansas, Phillips County, black farmers were slaughtered for attempting to gain better prices for their crops. Black farmers met to discuss joining the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America. They wanted a union in order to end the low prices whites paid to black farmers for their crops. False rumors of a black insurrection brought mobs of angry whites to their church meeting. Armed whites surrounded the church. A shootout ensued, leaving over 100 black farmers dead. When whites were killed, also, blacks were hunted in revenge. The Elaine riots resulted in the arrest of 70 black farmers. No white farmers were prosecuted. 12 black farmers were convicted and sentenced to death. Torture was used to gain their confessions. Evidence was falsified and witnesses intimidated. The trial lasted only a few hours. The men were given death sentences, their execution set for the next month. Walter White, president of the NAACP, investigated. Scipio A. Jones, a renowned black attorney from Little Rock, Arkansas, represented Frank Moore and the other men on death row in the case of Moore versus Dempsey. Moore versus Dempsey was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Scipio Jones argued that the jury, facing a lynch mob at the courthouse, was forced to give guilty verdicts despite evidence to the contrary. In 1923, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the men had not received a fair trial. Finally, in 1925, the black farmers were pardoned by Arkansas Governor Thomas C. McCrae. Entrenched racism would lead to the black migration north. In 1920, black farmers owned 14% of America's farmland. But by 1992, their share of farmland was 1%. All farmers rely on the Department of Agriculture, the DOA, for loans and assistance. Without these loans, farmers have little to support them when crops fail. The Department of Agriculture was created under President Lincoln in 1862 to assist all farmers. Yet the Department of Agriculture has an ingloriously long history of systemic discrimination against black farmers. In 1997, black farmers sued. They brought the case of Pigford versus Glickman against the Department of Agriculture, alleging discrimination in the allocation of loans and services. Daniel Glickman, Secretary of Agriculture. Another case was brought in 1999. The Department of Agriculture entered into a $100 million settlement agreement with the black farmers. covering discriminatory acts between 1981 and 1999. Then, this settlement was challenged by white farmers alleging reverse discrimination. That case was dismissed. Not every black farmer filed a claim in time to become a part of that $100 million settlement. In 2008, President Barack Obama signed the Farm Bill, allowing thousands of late filers inclusion in the settlement. However, not even $100 million would cover the extensive damage to black farmers. Therefore, on February 18, 2010, at the request of the Department of Agriculture, Congress allotted an additional $1.15 billion in the case now known as In Re Black Farmers Discrimination Litigation. This brings the total settlement with black farmers to $1.25 billion. There are those who remain dissatisfied, others who believe a few claimants among them are not credible. With so much at stake, such bickering is inevitable. To this granddaughter of Kansas farmers, the Pickford case represents significance in law as well as life. For to work the land is to sustain life. Whether a small family farm or a conglomerate, black farmers lost a way of life, and they lost it to racism. Millions of acres of their land are gone. Yet, endurance learned from working that land kept black farmers steadfast. Patience gained from awaiting each new crop prepared them to wait decades for justice. A $1.25 billion settlement cannot bring back all that was lost. However, it can compensate those without their land. It can assist those struggling farmers, and it can sustain the next generation. The deadline is May 11th, 2012. May 11th, 2012. There is no extension. May 11th, 2012. Go to the website blackfarmercase.com, www.blackfarmercase.com. This is the season to sow.